All right, so ready to dive in. Today, we're taking a deep, deep dive into Psalm 34.
Psalms 34.
Yeah, I know. Maybe you're thinking another psalm.
Right.
But trust me, this one's special. It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got raw emotion, practical advice, and a whole lot of hope, all packed into this one psalm.
And it's all coming from King David.
King David, yeah, at a really, really tough time in his life.
Absolutely. To really grasp the power of this psalm, you gotta understand the backstory.
A backstory.
Yeah. So, picture this. David, the future king, right? He's on the run.
On the run?
Yeah, on the run from King Saul.
From King Saul? Why?
Jealousy, pure and simple. Saul wanted David dead, like insanely jealous. Imagine that pressure.
Oh, man. I can't even imagine having the most powerful guy in the land trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So what David do?
Well, he's hiding out, right? And get this, he pretends to be insane to escape.
Pretends to be insane. Wow.
Yeah. But here's the thing that always gets me. Even in that terrifying situation, the psalm opens with David praising God.
Praising God.
Yeah, and it's not some quiet, timid thank you.
No.
Nope.
Wow.
It's this bold, almost defiant declaration of God's goodness.
Wow. It's like counterintuitive almost.
Right. Totally. You'd expect someone in David's shoes to be just consumed with fear.
Yeah.
Despair.
Absolutely.
But instead, he chooses to focus on praise. And I think that's a huge lesson for us today.
It is.
You know, when we hit those roadblocks in our own lives, that first instinct, it's often panic or
Panic, yeah.
complaining.
Yeah.
But David's example, it shows us we have a choice.
We have a choice.
We can fixate on the negative, or we can find reasons to praise, even in the middle of the storm.
It's like choosing to see that little glimmer of light, even when you're surrounded by darkness.
Exactly.
But David, he doesn't just stop at prayer. He goes on to share his personal experience of seeking God's help and actually finding deliverance.
Right.
He talks about crying out to God and being rescued from his fears.
And these verses 4 through 10, they're so relatable, even thousands of years later.
They are. Think about it. Think about a time when you were going through something really, really tough.
Yeah.
Maybe you felt lost or alone, afraid. Didn't you just like instinctively reach out for help, for someone or something to make things better?
We all do. It's human.
Yeah. And David's experience, it just reminds us that we're not alone in those struggles, that there's a power, something greater than ourselves that we can turn to, a source of comfort, of strength. And it's always there for us.
Always available.
It's like that universal feeling of needing a lifeline and knowing deep down that there's something out there that can throw it to you. Mm-hmm. So we've got David. He's escaped danger. He's praised God. He's shared his experience of rescue. And then he does something really interesting.
Okay.
He starts giving advice.
He does.
Yeah. Like in verses 11-14, he lays out what I like to call David's guide to a good life.
That's quite a shift in tone.
It is. It's like he's going from this personal testimony to this almost fatherly instruction.
And the advice he gives it's surprisingly practical.
Yeah.
Be mindful of your words, choose kindness, pursue peace. It's like he's saying, hey, listen, if you want a long and happy life, here's the recipe.
Yeah. That's a recipe I think we could all use a little more of.
I think so too.
It makes you think though, what did he mean by evil words and deceptive speech? Because in today's world, I mean, that could be anything.
Oh, absolutely.
From spreading gossip to like, just those nasty online comments. You see them everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's a real challenge to remember, to be conscious of the power our words have and to use them for good.
And that call to pursue peace, I mean, that feels even more relevant now than ever.
More than ever.
We live in a world that just feels so divided, so polarized. And David's words, they remind us that peace, it's not just the absence of conflict. It's something we have to actively work towards within ourselves and in our relationships with everyone around it.
Within and without.
Now, the psalm, it takes a bit of a turn in verses 15-18. Some pretty intense imagery starts to come in.
Yeah.
David talks about how the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, but the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Powerful stuff.
Very powerful.
And maybe a little confusing. What did he really mean by righteous and wicked?
Well, it's important to remember the context of the psalm.
Okay.
Righteous, it doesn't necessarily mean perfect.
No.
No.
Yeah.
It's more about having a heart that's that's turned toward God,
Yeah.
seeking to live in a way that aligns with his will.
Okay.
And it's not just about, doing bad things. It's about actively turning away from God's guidance and choosing to harm others.
So it's less about like judgment and punishment and more about God being actively involved in our lives, in our world, supporting those who seek him and opposing those who are intentionally causing harm.
Exactly.
And this idea of God's protection, it gets even stronger, more intense in verse 20.
Yeah.
Where David uses this really striking image of God protecting all his bones, not letting even one be broken.
It's a powerful metaphor.
It is. For the security, the safety we can find in God's care, even when everything around us feels dangerous and uncertain.
Absolutely.
Incredibly comforting.
Yeah.
But the psalm, it doesn't shy away from the reality of consequences either.
Right. No.
David's very clear that those who choose to harm others, those who are wicked, in his words, they will face the consequences of their action.
Right. There's a sense of justice woven into the fabric of the psalm. It acknowledges that actions have repercussions, and choosing to inflict pain on others, well, it ultimately leads to pain for oneself.
Yeah. But even with that stark truth, the psalm, it ends on this note of redemption.
Does it?
It does.
Yeah.
Verse 22 tells us that those who take refuge in God, they escape punishment. It suggests that no matter what we've done, there's always a path back.
Always a path.
There's a chance for forgiveness, for healing.
It's a message of hope that really resonates even today.
It does.
We all make mistakes, we all stumble, we all fall. But Psalm 34, it reminds us we don't have to stay stuck in those failures.
Yeah.
We can always turn to God, seek his forgiveness, and find the strength to start anew.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. It's been an emotional journey. But honestly, it's left me feeling, hopeful.
Hopeful.
Here's something to think about. If David in that desperate situation could choose praise and find strength in God, I mean, what does that mean for us? What fears, what challenges are we facing that we need to bring to God? Trusting in his guidance and seeking his deliverance.
That's the question.
It is. It is the question.
Yes.
Food for thought. All right. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Psalm 34.
You're welcome.
It's been a journey. Until next time.